We're going to continue. Now, as I said before, I would like you to complete a survey. This survey is about continuous learning. That's we're supposed to be preparing you. So when you come out of the university, you have the skills in order to keep learning all the time, okay? And the idea with this survey is try to know, okay, how advanced you are in this respect. Okay, please try to answer honestly, okay? Do not try to impress anybody. As I said before, the result of these evaluations will not be considered for the grading of this course. Okay, it has nothing to do. Okay, but we as a university, we need to know if we are preparing you. So when you come out of the university, you are able to keep learning by yourself. Okay, so I'm going to put please, in the chat, go to the chat and complete this survey. It's a form, and we prepared it together with Engineer Nadia. Please go to the survey. Are you listening to me, people? There is somebody in the waiting room.
Yeah, I see it.
Thank you. Mr. Navarre, you have a question? Oh. Mr. Nevares, no? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was.
No problem, no problem.
Yes.
In the first part of this survey, okay, we learned that there are several learning strategies. Okay, this is it's like a way that you can use in order to learn by yourself. Okay, this is just a summary, and this is a short explanation of each one of them. Okay, for example, text visual combination. Okay, some people are able to learn quicker, and the knowledge stays for a longer time in their memory if they try to make a combination. So it's like in some cases, for example, you see a figure combined with some explanation. That's the best way that you can learn in some cases. Okay, and some other people, for example, like to remember things, and I try to use mnemonic strategy so they can keep in their memory for a longer period of time. Okay, and some of the people, for example, try to study without books or text or notes. That means that they force their memory, their understanding, to try to understand, try to remember things without immediately going back to the text. Okay, so these are general strategies to learn. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's not something that you don't have to remember. Now, the thing is, are you aware? Were you aware of these strategies? Did you listen sometime in your studies that these things exist? Now, this is the most interesting thing. Okay, because we are all different, and we have to recognize that, yes, I like this, you like that, I learn faster in this way. This other person, for example, likes to read. These other persons like more figures. Some people like to listen. So it's different ways to learn, okay? Which one is your favorite from this list? And then comes what we need to know, what we like to know.
Doctor, I think you sent the wrong link because we can edit here the questions instead of answering.
And that's what engineer Nadia sent me. Shoot. Okay, in that case, let's do something. Okay, people, please listen to me. Okay, don't change that, please. Don't change that. Okay, and I'll work with Engineer Isaac, and during the day I will send the link so you can fill this survey later. Okay, but please, we need to complete it. Okay. So don't do that. Don't do much. Leave it there. Don't change it so we don't have any problems later on. Well, I don't have any experience using this, so I just follow Nadia's instructions, but probably I made a mistake. Okay, so people, forget about that. Okay. I forgot, but when I started this session, I said that we were going to follow the last step of the process. And the last step of the process has two sub-steps. The first one is to check that your results are adequate. That's what we have done, okay? We have checked convergence, and we have insisted that at least you have to do simple, very simple checks in order to be sure that the structure that you're analyzing is really the one that you want to analyze. Okay, take a piece or take the structure as a beam, take one piece as a plate, and see if those results make some sense. Okay, you can do this check, for example, in several parts of the structure or for the whole structure, anything like that. Okay, that's not part of the analysis. Okay, and finally, you have to analyze results. Okay. So this is something I wanted to talk to you right now. So it's just a couple of seconds. Probably you remember that I have insisted for the report that one thing is to describe the results, but we want to analyze results. Okay, so I want to emphasize using some publication in the web about this analysis of results. Okay, so I'm going to present a connection to one of these sites in the internet. It's from the University of Toronto, I understand. And we're going to read it to see if we can get any insight about what do we mean by analysis of results. Okay, so let me check if we can. Can you see the
yes,
results and discussion? Okay, and you see here that this is from the University of Toronto Engineering College. So this is not mine, obviously. Okay, and I want to read together, you and me. Here, when you see the point 3, conducting discussion of results, of course. I'm going to ask somebody to read the first paragraph. Not this line here. From that point. Mr. Vallas, would you please read it?
Thank you, Doctor. Conducting discussion.
Discussion.
There are two discussion.
Go on.
There are two key elements to discussions: analyze and interpretations.
Analysis,
the difference.
Please. You see that there is a point, right? So when you see a point, you have to pronounce the sentence so the listener can understand that at that point you end the sentence. There are two key elements to discussion: analysis and interpretation. So you tell the audience that you are completing the sentence. You wait a couple of seconds and then you start the next sentence. Let's do it again, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Valles.
Analysis and interpretations.
No. Let's read the whole thing again, please. Read again. Read again. Go on.
There are, conducting these discussions. There are two key elements to discussion: analysis and interpretation. The difference between
Analysis and
this-
interpretation. Because you when you pronounce interpretation, you tell the audience that the sentence ends there. But you're right connecting this word with the next one, which is in the next sentence. You have to separate them.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next sentence. The difference.
The difference between these two elements is subtle, but both aspects are essential for a complete understanding of the material. See
Exactly.
also
Yeah.
types.
Just a second. This is just an explanation that you can go on and seek for more details. So this is emphasizing that there are two things when we talk about discussion analysis. One is interpretation and other is analysis. Okay, we're just going to combine them because our project is not that deep. Okay, now he's recognizing that the difference between these two, interpreting results and analyzing results, is not very quietly differentiated. So in general, we can think that these two things are very close in general. Okay, in this project, we can consider that both things are the same. We call it analysis of results. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. Miss Guthenberg, por favor, please. I'm sorry. Next paragraph, both.
Yes, doctor. Both analysis and interpretation involve drawing conclusions from the data present in results. In doing
Just a second. So, just a second. So, that it's telling us that when we do analysis of results, we are like taking the audience towards our conclusions. So, you use results when you analyze, and you are taking the audience or your readers towards your conclusions, which are not here, will come later in the next step. But that's the direction that you have to take them. Go on.
In doing either, be sure to clearly link your claims to specific sets of data and logically explain how the data supports your claim.
Exactly. So, just a second. This is another paragraph. So you have to make an extra space in time. Okay. So you have to be certain that you take the results, and when you analyze them, you are taking the audience towards your conclusions. The thing is that you have to be concrete. So when you're taking the audience, you have to refer to your results, concrete. Okay. Clearly linked. You don't say, first, the convergence is adequate. No. You have to say, you have to link. What is the piece of evidence that show you that your model, structural model using finite elements is adequate? There is a figure. So the figure, the result of the figure tells you that you are converged to the exact solution and things like that. Okay. So be specific. Okay, let's Mr. Matute, analysis involves.
Okay, analysis involves explaining the results and identifying the conclusions you can draw from them.
Exactly. So explaining, not describing. explaining the results. Explaining. Do they make sense this? Do they make sense that? The
This
sign,
can
the values, compare here, compare there. Go on. Go on.
This can involve highlight key results and placing them in the context of the other results, as in the below example.
Okay. Placing them in the context of other results. This is something that please, this is something that we have always to do. How do we do that in engineering, people? How do we do that in naval engineering? How do we place our results in the context of other results? How do we do this in concrete? How would we do this? Ms. Vega, how would you place your results in the context of other results? Ms. Vega?
Yes.
Yes. Is there any way you can think?
Compare.
How you can compare? Always, always, always compare with other ships. Always, always. Okay, at least take a quick look at the ship which is on your side. Okay. It is possible. You can find another analysis, okay, which probably was done with similar structure, but if somebody did an analysis of your structure, it makes no sense that you do it again. Okay, so you have a ship which is similar to yours, and the results show that in that point, okay, the stress levels are the highest in this piece, in this part of the structure. In your case, it's similar. Or if it is different, what do you think is different? See? Always, always, always. This is something that several years ago, well, not several, three or 4 years ago, we asked some students to do industry practices. We call internships. Okay, so there was an engineering company who hired, well, not hired, he accepted these two students at that time. They both graduated now to do internships, and they did well. But the problem when we went to talk to this manager, he said that they're good. They can calculate. They're very person who you can trust them. He gave them the key of the office, so they could come and go at any time they wanted. So he trusted them. But the problem was that he asked to do a calculation. They did a calculation, get the results, and turn it in. They didn't, how can I say? They didn't filter. They didn't ask themselves, does this make any sense? And this manager told us that they didn't even compare the results with any previous or any similar design. So that's something that it's not possible right now. So we have to improve. And to improve, we need you, each one of you in your project. You have to tell me something about some ship which is similar to yours. Okay, so that's something that it's like a methodology that you have to follow from now on. Okay, you do a finite element model, check convergence, make some results, and when you analyze results, at least you have to check something which is similar to your case. Okay, so let's read this example. Ms. Matias, would you please read this example?
Yes, the results for sample A are as expected. Given its composition,
Given,
75%.
please try to use try to let the audience see the results for sample A are as expected given its composition. See, that's what the material which is in parentheses is just an appendix of that sentence. It's an explanation, but it's not part of the sentence. Okay, go on. 75.
Polypropylene.
Whatever.
Phthalimide as seen in figure 3.1.
You see, it's very precise. It's not that it's similar. No, it's similar as you can see in that figure. Go on.
As shown in table 3.2 and 3.3, sample A was both the strongest and most flexible material.
Let's see, you can say that this material is more flexible. That's not precise. This figure, this table is showing me that this material is more strongest, is more flexible. This is the evidence. Go on.
These features are typical of a composite with a high level of polypar content.
Reference 1.
Reference 1.
So it's telling you that the results, your results, are consistent with those results shown in reference 1. So he's comparing your results with somebody else's results. Okay, go on. Mr. Diaz, Bigmar Diaz, please, in the above example. Mr. Diaz. In the above
I read
example.
this. In the above example, the claim is that the result for same
sample A.
Sample A are expect give its composition.
Given its composition. Please, given its composition. That's the point there. That's when you end the sentence. Read it again, please. In the above example.
In the above example, the claim is that the result for A aspect give its composition. The data that supports.
You see that the analysis is what it's telling. So it's consistent. That's something we expected in certain way. Go on.
The data that supports that claim for figure 3.1 is a sample A is the strongest and the most sample A is the strongest and the most flexible material. And the sample A is made up of 55% poly. I don't know, 70.
Okay, but it's
75%.
Emphasizes what is said. Very precise. Okay, go on. The last part.
The logical explanation is that its composite material is known to the flexible and strong.
From source 1.
From source 1.
Okay, so in the report, I'm going to check that. Let's go to the other aspect, interpretation, just a little bit because we don't have that much of time. Ms. Matias, you read it again already? No? Yeah, you read it. No, Ms. Matias? No, you read it already. Ms. Larrea, please. Interpretation.
Good morning, doctor. Interpretation involves explaining the significance of these conclusions. It identifying the potential limitation of the experimental method and their effect of the results, and accounting for any potential errors. The below example
Just a second there. Okay. Significance of these conclusions. And this is what it's very important. We have to recognize the potential limitations of the experimental method. In our case, if you consider that there is a limitation or limitations of your work, of your model, for example, you assume this, you assume that, that's something that has to be included in this part. Okay, go on.
The below example identify what the results and the conclusions draw from them mean
Might mean
in a wider context.
wider context. Try to pronounce the last letter. So I know it's difficult because since it's difficult, it's different language. It's kind of difficult to pronounce, but it's very important that you try to pronounce the last letter. Okay. Mr. Sanchez, of the 4 samples.
Morning, doctor. Of the 4 samples, sample A is best suited for using protective clothing applications. Its high strength allows it to provide sufficient protection, while its malleability allows it to be shaped to the contours of the human body.
Okay. So it's like taking your results and taking them to potential applications. But I don't see much of a difference between the first part, analysis, and this part, which is interpretation. But that's what we mean by analysis of results. If you want, you can go to this reference or many others and try to see what they mean by analysis of results. But in general, analysis of results do not mean just describing the results. Do not mean. So you say, this is a maximum, this is this. No. Does that make sense? Did you compare it with that? Is that what you expected? If, for example, somebody was asking, if this, you have very large displacement here, deflection here, probably that's because this, and it probably can be solved using that interpretation. That's analysis of results. That's what I want from you. Now, the space that you have available to prepare the report is not very large. So you have to be very, very, very clever, very practical in trying to see, okay, this part is very important. Okay, this other part is general for this class. So don't spend too much time, too much space on that. The most important part of your project is the results. And don't just throw many figures. No, try to take many figures and get the information and summarize in a table. Take those tables and plot them if you see that it makes some sense. So you save space and you have a space for other things. This is the most important. And of course, the conclusions. Okay. Now we're going to go a second break. And when we return, I don't know if Genesis, did you have the time to, now is the time for you to break the class in groups. And when we return in 5 minutes, we will go to the groups and we'll check what have we done. So far, I would like to see if you have all complete the model, and everybody should talk to me about the loading. Don't tell me I'm going to say I'm going to apply 3 loading conditions. No, I want you to explain me that you have indeed get values. So I'm going to apply a this value from that reference in that part. That means that you're ready. Otherwise, you're just fooling around. That means that you're behind. And the problem is that at the end, you're gonna have problems with the report. Okay, I'm going to be very strict on this report because we're advancing. Okay, let's have a 5-minute break and then we will return.